What's up, Falcons Nation? It's your boy Jew coming at you with another Atlanta Falcons video. As always, Falcons Nation, rise up. In today's video, I would like to talk about draft prospect Bresee. But if you're new to the channel, please hit that subscribe button. Hit that notification bell so you'll know when I've done Atlanta Falcons content. Hit that like button for your boy. I do appreciate each and every one of you guys for continuing to share out my content on all the social media platforms. If you would like to follow your boy on Twitter and Instagram, you can follow me at Jew Talk Sports. If you would like to donate to my channel, you can donate to my Cash App, which is the $ Jew Talk Sports. And if you would like to be a part of my Jew Talk Sports membership, you can hit that join tab here on the channel as well. But with that being said, let's jump right into the video. So in today's video, as I mentioned, I do want to talk about Bresee. He is the defensive tackle that played at the University of Clemson. He goes about 6'5", 305 pounds. And he is one of those players that I think the Falcons should consider taking in this upcoming NFL draft. I don't know if the Falcons should take him with the 8th pick overall. But if guys like Tyree Wilson, Jalen Carter, Myles Murphy, if these guys are all drafted prior to that number 8th pick, if I'm the Falcons, I either move down a couple spots and take Bresee, or possibly take Bresee at that 8th pick, depending on how we grade him and how we have him, listed on our draft board as far as Terry Fontenot and Arthur Smith. But personally, I do think that Bresee is a perfect fit for our Atlanta Falcons because he's a versatile defensive lineman. He's a guy at Clemson that they used up and down the defensive line, similar to a Tyree Wilson. He's not just a defensive tackle. He's a guy who can also play defensive end as well. He can play the 3-tech position, and they pretty much used him all over their defensive line. He is a very lanky athlete, a long physical athlete, a very strong athlete, and he's really twitchy for his size. Even though he's listed as a defensive tackle, he's similar to a Chris Jones that plays for the Kansas City Chiefs. He's not as big as Chris Jones, but if you remember seeing Chris Jones in the playoffs, sometimes Chris Jones lines up on the outside. Even though he's listed as a defensive tackle, he's twitchy enough and athletic enough where you can line him up at defensive end at times. And that's something that Bresee, his game kind of is similar to a Chris Jones. I don't think he's as good as a Chris Jones, of course, because Chris Jones is arguably a top 3 defensive tackle in the NFL. But I definitely think that Bresee may be the best defensive tackle overall because of his versatility in this draft. So being that you guys know that I'm big on the trenches, and to me, the Falcons haven't done a great job over the last decade or the last 15 years of putting value in the trenches, I definitely think that Bresee could be one of those guys that they should value in this draft. Like I said, he's a guy that's very good at stopping the run, but he also can be a pass rusher as well, whether he's bringing pressure up the middle, as we've talked about Grady Jarrett needing a partner, needing another guy that can be an impact player, bringing pressure right up the middle. That's something that Bresee does very well, but he also is athletic enough you can use him in stunts. You can use him lining up as a traditional defensive end. And because Ryan Nielsen likes bigger, longer athletes at that defensive end position and defensive tackle position, I definitely think that Bresee could be one of those guys that could be an underrated player in this draft. You know, the Myles Murphys and the Tyree Wilsons and Jalen Carters are pretty much getting all of the attention. I haven't seen too many mock drafts where they have Bresee being taken by the Falcons. But I definitely think that he should be a player that should be on the Falcons' radar because of his versatility. Because we're a multi-front defense, I definitely think that Bresee should be one of those guys that the Falcons should consider. And like I said, I do think at the 8th pick, that could be a little bit too high to take a Bresee. But I think that if he's there, you definitely take, think about taking him because we need so much help in the front 7. Maybe you trade back to like the 15th spot. You trade back with another team that may be looking to draft a quarterback or looking to move up to take a player that they're targeting, and we possibly trade down in the teens and take a player like Bresee. Or maybe we take one of the 9 picks that we have. If we end up drafting, say, a corner, or if we end up drafting Myles Murphy, maybe you trade back into the first round. If Brian Bresee is still there in the 20s or early in the second round, I think he's a player definitely worth doing, kind of what we did last year when we took Arnold Ebiketie, where we traded back into traded up in the second round to take him. But I definitely think if Brian Bresee is sitting there, because we have so many draft picks and we have cap space, I definitely would think about trading up, you know, maybe pairing 2 of the picks that we have in the 3rd round or 2nd round, moving back into the 1st round, because we need as many impact players that we can get out of this draft and in free agency. And I definitely think that Brian Bresee is one of those guys, like I said, that can add that guy that we need next to Grady Jarrett. He's a physical specimen, very athletic for his size. Some of the knocks on Brian Bresee is that he did have an ACL injury. I believe it was 2 years ago, where he had a knee injury, an ACL tear. But this past season, he did come back and played really well after the ACL tear. So I definitely think that he's a guy, being that he has similar roots to Grady Jarrett, going to Clemson. They both played under the same defensive coordinator there at Clemson, which I think he's one of the best in Brent Venables there in Clemson. And Clemson seems to put out great talent. I mean, A.J. Terrell, Vic Beasley, some of the guys that they've, you know, recently, Isaiah Simmons, some of the guys that recently has come out of Clemson, it seems like they're guys on their defensive side of the ball especially. They produce really good talent there with Dabo Swinney. So I definitely think that Brian Bresee is a guy that the Falcons should go after. Like I said, he's a do-it-all type of defensive tackle. He can stop the run. He can get after the passer. So you basically are getting like a 2-in-1. And because the NFL is now going to this kind of positionless football where you need guys not only that can stop the run, but that also can rush the passer, I think that that's something that Brian Bresee brings. He's kind of a jack of all trades type of player. But with that being said, you guys let me know what you think of Brian Bresee. If you haven't hit that like and subscribe button, definitely hit that subscribe button for your boy. We are currently on the road to 2,000 subscribers and beyond. And with that being said, I'll holler at you guys in the next video. As always, Falcons Nation, rise up, be blessed. Peace.